So here we are at our next topic that involves linear functions. Remember, this whole unit involves linear. We graphed them yesterday. Today we're going to take a look at their slopes or their rate of change, okay? The rate of change is basically a ratio. A ratio is a fraction. It shows how one variable changes with respect to the other. Remember, we're dealing with x and y here. So when it's on a linear graph, we call the rate of change slope. Slope is only on a linear graph, and it's important to understand that, okay? But slope is rate of change. Rate of change is slope. And I need you to write down that on a linear function, the slope is constant. The rate of change is constant, meaning anywhere I go on that graph, my slope, the rate that I'm changing is going to be the same. Okay? So when we do slope, slope is written as a ratio, which is basically a fraction. So what you can do here is you can actually cross out ratio. Don't do it so heavy, but I would write ratio and then I would write fraction, okay? Because it lets you understand that a ratio is a fraction. So it's a fraction of the vertical, which is the rise. So think about verticals up and down, over the horizontal, which is the run. That's left to right. Between any 2 points. Between any 2 points, okay? This remains constant. Now it's constant for any 2 points on the same line, okay? So slope is written as a fraction. I can't say that so many times. See how I already had you cross it out? It's written as a fraction in simplest form, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And you're going to see that we're going to use the variable m. M represents our slope, okay? M is our slope. We have 4 types of slopes, okay? And when we read a graph, we're going to read it from left to right. So our first slope is a positive slope. So if you look at this line, I'm going from the left to the right side. As I trace it, I go up. So I'm going in a positive direction. Another type is a negative slope. As I go from the left to the right, I went down. Then I have a zero slope. A zero slope just goes from left to right. There is no rise, okay? You have to commit this to your memory. If it's going from left to right, it is a zero slope. Then let's move to our last type called no slope or undefined. You'll see it both ways. But no slope is different than zero slope, okay? So a no slope goes up and down. It's a vertical. Okay, there is no run. I didn't go anywhere. So let's see how this looks on a graph, okay? So in order to find my slope, it's the rise over the run. I always go from the left point to the right point. So if we look at this, I'm going to go up. I'm going from this point, and I went up 4 units. You count each line from that point, you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to go to the right, 5 units. I ran. So I would say m equals 4 over 5. Remember, it is your rise over your run. Okay? So let's go look at the next one. Start at your left point. I'm going to rise. So since I'm rising, it's positive. And I rose 6. Then I'm going to run to the right because I need to get to the next point, and that is 3. Okay? So when I put this together, my rise over my run is 6 over 3. That is technically my slope. However, we write our slope as a fraction in simplest form. Therefore, it becomes 2 because 6 divided by 3 is 2. On number 1, I can't do 4 divided by 5, so leave it as a fraction. That is in simplest form. Let's take a look at this one. Remember, our slope is our rise over our run. We always start from the left side of the graph. So if you look at this point, it's going down. From this point, it goes down, and it went down 2. So because it went down, I write a negative. I still have to move to the right to get to my next point, so that was a positive 6. Remember, rise over run. So when I write m equals, it's going to be negative 2 over 6. But remember, it must be a fraction in simplest form. Therefore, I have to simplify it. So my slope is really negative 1/3. Okay? And if you look at the graph of the line, this is something I want people to see. The line is actually going down as I trace it. Therefore, it's negative. Okay? Let's go look at our next one. If I start on the left, I have to go down, and I went down 7. I'm then going to move to my right 4. When I write my slope, I have negative 7 over 4. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't simplify that anymore. That is as low as it can go. It is okay to have an improper fraction. Leave it. Do not change it. Okay, so remember when we first started this. If you take a look at this graph on number 5, okay, we normally do our rise over our run, right? Well, all I'm doing here is I'm rising. I mean, I can keep rising, but I never run. So we could say I go up 2 and I don't go over anywhere. So when there is no run, okay, when 0 is on the bottom, or when you see a graph that is a vertical line, okay, and here's what I mean by a vertical line, meaning it's just a straight line up and down. You see this line? That will always have a slope of undefined, or you could write no slope. It is honestly something you want to commit to your memory that a vertical line is undefined, okay? All right, so let's go look at my next one. I'm starting on the left side of my graph, so I'm going to have to rise. And since I went up, it's a positive 4. Now I need to move to the right so that I can get to the next point, and that was a positive 8. So we always, we put my rise on top, my run on the bottom. But looking at this, I can simplify. So I simplify this to 1/2. That is actually my slope, okay? Let's go look at these. Let's do these again together. So we're going to start on the left side of my graph. I'm going to go down 3. So since I went down, I'm going in a negative direction. It's a negative rise. Then I go to the right, okay? I write 4. Therefore, my slope is negative 3 over 4. I can't simplify that. I'm done. So let's go look here. I'm going to start at this point, and I'm going to go up 4. Then I need to run 10. So when I write m equals, my rise always goes on top, okay? And my run always goes on the bottom. But those are 2 even numbers. I can simplify them to 2/5, and that's what you need to do. So that leads us to the last 6 on this page. You need to find these on your own. This is a quiz grade. These 6. When you are done, you load your work to Teams, meaning your notes are part of this quiz grade. You should have everything I had written in the slides. That counts. Then these 6 questions with their slopes completely simplified. When you're done, load it to Teams. And if you have a question, you need to ask, okay? This is starting the beginning of how we're going to graph these linear equations and interpret them in the real world.